Welcome to Lesson 3, Multiplying with Multiples of 10. Multiples of 10 are numbers that you can get to when you skip count by 10. So let's try skip counting by 10 to 100. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100. And the multiples go on forever and ever. Here's some other examples of multiples of 10. So we already counted those ones: 100, 400, 1,000, 10,000. All examples of multiples of 10. So there's a neat trick that's really quick and easy for when you multiply with those numbers. So let's try an example. You might think that 15 times 10 is a hard multiplication to do, especially in your head. But all 15 times 10 really is 15 times 1 with a 0 at the end. We take that 0 that's part of the 10 and we put it at the end. So 15 times 1 is 15, and then if we put a 0 at the end, the 0 that comes from the 10, we get 150. How about 15 times 100? Well, 100 has two zeros at the end, so again we're going to do 15 times 1, which is 15, and then we're simply going to tag two zeros on at the end because there were two zeros in 100. So 15 times 100 is 1500, which makes sense, or you could also say 1500. Here's a really big multiplication, but again, if we use the same technique, very simple to do. 15 times 1,000. 1,000 has three zeros at the end, so we do our 15 times 1, which is 15, and then we add on three zeros at the end because there were three zeros in 1,000. So 15 times 1,000 is equal to 15,000, which again should make sense. Now we're going to try using a different multiple of 10. So we're going to try 5 times 70. So again, we have to look at how many zeros we have in the number we're multiplying. 70 has one zero. So we have to begin by doing 5 times 7, and we know that the answer is 35. And then we take the 0 from the 70 and put it at the end. So 5 times 70 is 350. How about 5 times 700, or 5 times 7,000? Pause the video and see if you can get the answers to these two multiplication questions. So 700 has two zeros, which means that we would do the 5 times 7, which is 35, and add two zeros at the end to make 3,500. 5 times 7,000, we have three zeros, so we take our 35 and tag on three zeros at the end. So you see it's the exact same technique. We just have to be careful to do the multiplication in the first part of the question correctly, and then we just add the proper amount of zeros at the end of the number. And let's look at one more set of examples. What if we had a question like this with 30 times 60? So ignore the zeros to begin with. 3 times 6 is 18. And then we go back and we see how many zeros we have. In the question we have 2, 1 in 30, 1 in 60. And so we have to then add on those two zeros. So 30 times 60 is 1800. And if we had a question like this, 700 times 800, we would do the 7 times 8 first, which you should know is 56. We go back and check how many zeros we have: 2 in 700, 1 in 80. So altogether that makes for three zeros. So 700 times 80 is 56,000. So in this lesson we learned a quick and easy strategy for getting the product, which is the answer to multiplication questions when we multiply by multiples of 10. So the first step we used was to simply multiply the numbers, so the numbers other than the zeros, 9 times 6 in this example was 54. And then our second step was to check how many zeros there are and add them to the end of the number. So in this example, we had 3 zeros, 1 in 90, 1 in 600, and so our final answer was 54,000. So have fun with using multiples of 10 for multiplying. It's a great quick strategy to use. Ask your teacher for help. Watch the video again if you need to.